na. Oh god, I forgot I was recording. Okay, well, we'll go ahead. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's go ahead and get started. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm not gonna ramble. I'm gonna get straight to the point. First things first, if you're using a Mac computer, I'm on Windows, so this video is not gonna work for you. But as far as everybody else, welcome to my channel too. I posted a post a while back on my community tab asking you guys if you wanted me to do a tutorial for how I make my edits for my fanfic stories here on YouTube, and the majority of you said yeah, go ahead and show us that. So here's what we got going on today. First things first, you're going to need to download the software that I use, and that is called Filmora. The link will be in the description box below. As you can see on the screen, it's called Filmora9, and it is free to download and it's also free to try. However, the free version, you will have a watermark somewhere on your video once you try to convert it. So if you don't want that, then you'll unfortunately have to upgrade and pay to remove that. I'm using the paid version, so I have a lot of features and access to a lot of things that don't come with the free version. Just throwing that out there. Once you have Filmora downloaded and you open it for the first time, you're going to see this little box. What you want to do is click on New Project, and it's going to open up the software for you, and your software will look like this. But before we jump into that, I know it looks overwhelming. Don't worry, it's not. Before we jump into that, there's a few things that you're going to need to download before we get started. The first thing, you're going to need to go to Google, type in black rectangle, make sure you're on the images tab, and select any one of these squares. Just make sure it looks like this when you go to preview it. This isn't really, I guess this is a rectangle, I don't know. But you're gonna need this. So right click, however it works on your computer, save the image, add it to your pictures. Moving on, you're gonna need pictures of the boys or whoever you're making your story about. Now here's what you don't want to do when gathering pictures for your characters. You don't need these types of photos here, the ones that have background images, because this is going to show up on your video and it's going to look clunky and not good. So what you want to type in Google is whoever your person is that you want to use, and then ping. I don't know what ping stands for, ping images, but that's what you're going to want to type in. And the reason why you want to type this in is because ping images, as you can see, don't have a background. This is what we want. So whatever picture you find that you want to use, right click it, save it to your computer, and move along. The next thing that you're going to want to do before we get started in Filmora is collect images for your scenes. So if your chapter 1 primarily is going to take place in a cafe, then we're going to need photos of cafes for the background. And the site that I like to use to get all my pictures, and these are non-copyrighted, so you can use these for commercial purposes, whatever you want to do, they're free to use. And there, the site that I like to use is Unsplash. Again, link will be in the description. So once you get your photos downloaded, great. Okay, let's move right along. Next thing you're going to need for your video, or for your video, is music, background music. Now you can use actual songs from artists. I don't want to deal with getting any copyright notices or copyright strikes on my channel or anything like that, which is why I don't use any type of music in my videos. So if you want to download free music where you won't get any type of strikes, you can actually find that in the YouTube Creator Studio. So if you have a YouTube account, you can go to your Creator Studio here. And once you get into your Creator Studio, on the left hand side, if you scroll to the bottom, you will see the Create button. When you click on that, you'll be taken here to the audio library. And as you can see, this is free music that anybody can use for their videos, and you won't get any strikes. Okay, once you have all your stuff downloaded, let's transition back to Filmora. And the way that you get all your stuff to go in here, import media files, you can either click on this or you can go the long way, I don't know why, and you can go here, ignore all of this. Well, all you need to worry about is import media files. So once you hit on import, it's going to open up your documents on your computer and wherever you downloaded your items. Because when you download something off the internet, it'll ask you where you want to place it on your computer. So wherever you placed your music and your pictures and your blah blah blah, after you hit import, it's going to automatically open up that location, or you can just manually search for it, whatever. You can select more than one. You can, as you can see, whatever. You can either select the image, hit open, or you can just double click, whatever works for you. And it will load here in Filmora. Okay, so moving right along. Now this video is all about how you make a story with Filmora, so I'm not going to go into how you can do edits for YouTube channel intros and all that stuff. But if you guys want to see how I make my trailers, then you can go ahead and let me know in the comments, and I'll do a separate video for that. But for this purposes, it's all about how to make the fic. So that's what we're going to do. Now, when you're going to add something to the timeline here, you might get this little pop-up. Just go ahead and click match to media. And if you missed what I did, I'll go back. Okay, so once you have everything loaded in here, you can either click and drag, left click and drag it. Doesn't matter where you put it. You place it anywhere. You can either do it like that, or when you hover over something, there's a little plus mark there. You can add that to your timeline that way. And if you want to preview it real quick, you can go ahead and do it there. Okay, there's my intro. Moving on. So, circling back, your scene takes place first in a cafe. I didn't download a picture of a cafe, so I got like a living room, whatever. Okay, so when you're adding additional pieces to your timeline, what you want to do is right click on your image. I didn't download anything from the cafe. I just have a living room picture. So you can click on whatever background image you want, drag it to the scene here, make sure it lines up. Okay, and now we have it here. Great. You can hit play. Okay, now first things first, do you see that harsh transition? We don't want that. We do not want that. So up here at the top, click on transitions. You want it to be smooth and seamless. Now you see the little selections with the red dots. You guys won't have these features, so I'm gonna go ahead and click on basic, because you should have that available in the free version. And here's what we're gonna do. Now you're gonna have to click and drag this, because if you do the little plus mark, it's just gonna add it in any random place, and we don't want that. So if you make a mistake like that, you can see my little mouse here moving. Hit the undo button. So we're gonna click and drag where the two clips meet. I'm gonna move my line here so you can see what I'm talking about, okay? So we're gonna hold down the transition that we want, and you can click on it and it'll show you a preview, actually. Okay, so that's the preview. Click and drag where the two clips meet. See that little white transparent? Yeah. See the white transparent bar that I'm moving? You can move it around. You want to place it where the two clips meet. Okay? Now, let's preview. Great. Okay, so here's our next problem. Let's say you have your background scene here. As you can see, you have these ugly little black bars on the side. We don't want that. So if whatever picture you have, if it doesn't fill out the screen, the way that you can crop your background image, make sure you're first selected on that, on the picture. Oh my God, I'm hitting all types of stuff, ignore that. Make sure you're clicked on the picture, and on this little bar here, see my mouse, you see a little trash can here, and then you see some scissors, and then you see this weird little icon. This is the crop and zoom tool. You're gonna want to click on that. If your picture doesn't show up, you can just hit play and then it'll show up. Okay. Now, you see how it's filled out here? The black bars are gone? No, they're not. So, what you're going to do is go down here to ratio. You see original ratio, open that. 16:9 is what the YouTube video format is. Select 16:9, and now you see that it just cropped it for you. So you can click and hold and move it to whatever position you want. Okay, so you want to high, low, whatever. Once you figure that out, make sure you're still on 16:9 in the ratio. Hit OK. And now the black bars are gone. Okay, now the next thing that we want to do is add our people. So before we add our characters to the scene, what we first want to do is add our black box, our rectangle. Now for this, once again, you don't want to add it here because this is where your story is playing out. What you want to do, click and hold. Make sure that it goes above your storyline here. I'm going to show you again. Click and hold, drag it onto the field. You don't want it on here, you want it over top. And now you have your bar. If you want to move it, make sure you have it selected when you're in the navigation panel, and you can move it around, as you can see. Now we have our page break here, or our little black box here. That's all great. However, when you go back to preview your story, it just, you see how it just abruptly just pops in here? We want to put an animation on this. So let's go ahead and edit our, we're going to call this our text box. Let's go ahead and edit our text box. Once you have the image selected, once you're down here in the navigation panel, you have the image selected. Going back on the bar here, you see these little, okay, this looks like a little clock here. This little icon next to it, you want to hit that. And you want to go to motion. And what I like to use is the fade in. And if you hover your mouse over it, you can actually preview the animations. You can double click, and there you go. Hit OK. Now let's play things from the beginning. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now we're all smooth and great. The next thing that we want to do before we add our text is add our character. And Jimin is gonna go, same thing, click and drag. Don't put him over here in this area. Click and drag right on top of your bar. And boom. Now this is what I mean when I say download the ping images. There's no background on Jimin. Now, had you downloaded just a regular picture like this, and if you try to put it in here, you see it's gonna keep the background. You don't want that. So when you're looking for pictures of your characters, make sure you're getting a ping image that doesn't have the background. Okay, so now that we have all this aligned, we're gonna need to move him around. So you can click and hold. You can move him around. You can make him smaller, whatever. I'm just gonna push him off to the side here. Okay, great. So it's a little laggy. But okay, you see everything fades in, everything except for Jimin. He just pops right into the scene. We don't want that. We also need him to get an animation as well. So same format, make sure you're selected on his picture in the navigation panel. Go back to your little icon here next to the clock. Give him an animation. Great, hit OK. Alright, and let's play it again just to be on the safe side. Perfect, okay. Now you see how everything kind of like faded out here? What we need to do is stretch out our scene. Now it's okay if you don't know how long your scene is going to be. What I do, because obviously we don't have our text yet, to stretch out stretch out a scene or stretch out your picture, you can just click on the image and you see how the cursor changes. You can see that when it changes like that, left click and drag, left click and drag. Doesn't matter where you stop, just stretch it out for the time being until we add our text. So do the same thing with the rest of your images, left click and drag. Make sure your cursor changes, because if you do it like this, then you're moving stuff around. You don't want that. Your cursor needs to change to this little weird icon here. I don't know. Left click and drag. Okay. Now let's see what we got going on one more time now that we stretch things out here. Okay, smooth fade in, smooth transitions, everything's fading in, and we got our scene started. Okay, now we're ready to add our text. The way we do that, let's first drag our cursor back here to the beginning of our scene. Doesn't have to be perfect, just make sure it's at the beginning. And we're going to go back up to the top here where you see titles. Again, ignore the ones that have the little red dots. Those are the ones that I bought. You guys won't have that if you're using the free version, but you will have subtitles. What I like to use is subtitle 2. So again, you can either use the little click on the little blue check mark here. It'll automatically add it to the timeline for you. Or you can click and drag, whatever works best for you. I like to click and drag because I'm very particular and like to be in control. So I like to click and drag. Now, once you have your text here, you see that it is out of place. We need to get it even. So, first things first, you need to click on this little weird icon here next to the clock. Click on that. Then you're going to get this. I don't like to work in this screen because it's small, so what you can do is go ahead and hit Advanced. And then you're greeted with this new window, wonderful window. Now, subtitle 2 comes with 2 lines that you can use. You're not going to need both, you're just going to need one. So you can click on either of these and just delete it. Follow my mouse here, you can click, come up to the top, see this little, see my mouse, cursor, little trash can, delete. Now you only have one line. You can select your text box, click and drag. I don't know if the lag is picking up, but whatever. I need a new computer. Okay, so obviously you don't want this foreign language here. So you can click in your left hand corner in your little text box here, delete that, and type the beginning of your story or whatever you have written down. Okay, so now that you got your text figured out here, obviously we need to make it a little bit bigger. So you can either do that, or you can go up here, make it bigger up here. Whatever works for you. And if you want to move things around, you can have it centered, bold. You can choose from different fonts. And if your text is too long, you can just go ahead and tweak it. Now, if you want to like change the color of a certain word or whatever, you can just highlight. If you look over here, you see the text field. Don't click any of this, but hit color. You have your little icons here, and the color has changed. These are some additional features that I don't really use and you won't need to use, like text border and text shadow. Well, you won't be needing any of that. The main thing that you'll be using in this window while you're typing and editing your text is knowing how to work with the bar, knowing which position you want your text in, centered, left align, whatever, bold, how to change your the font size, and the text color. Once you got all that going on, we're going to need an animation. So up in the left hand corner here, right above the text box, you see the word animation. Pick which one you want. You can double click, get a little preview, and you can play it back. Now, when it comes to your text, something that you need to take into consideration, and it's something that I hate when I'm reading other stories on here, is some creators, sometimes I do it in some of my stories, not gonna lie, they have a lot going on in the text box. like a whole ass paragraph sometimes. And like I'm saying, I do this too occasionally. Obviously, people can't read that in like 5 seconds. So what I like to do, and you can use your best judgment, like for a basic sentence like this, most can read it in like 10 seconds. So depending on how long your text is going to be on the screen, you need to alter your animation as well. So you see me clicking and dragging here. Right now, as you can see on the timeline, see my cursor, our text is only showing up for 5 seconds, and I'm going to show you how to alter that, extend that in just a second. But like this sentence here, let's say we want to make this stay on the screen for 10 seconds. You don't want your animation to be too long. So if I'm doing something, if I have my sentence on the screen for 10 seconds, I want my animation to show up fast instead of creeping in and taking forever to pop up. So if my sentence is going to be at 10 seconds, I want to drag my animation out or in, whatever, and this is going to shorten it, because if you have it like this and your animation is just 10 seconds long, it's going to take forever to pop up. So we're going to shorten that. Once everything looks good, we're going to hit OK. Now we need to extend our text. So once you have your text still selected, go back to your navigation panel, and you can see the little clock here. You can click on that, and you can edit your text. Hit OK, and now you see that it is extended. Perfect. Okay. Now another thing, if your we're gonna call this the text box, the black box here, if that's too dark for you, you can edit how that looks. So if you go back to your timeline, you see me clicking on things. If you click on the black box here. Okay, so once you click on the black box, go back to your navigation panel. Next to the clock, hit this little icon here, and you're going to be taken here. On the image tab, you want to go to, oh my god, compositioning? Compositing? Oh my god, I'm tired. Okay, so you're going to click on this, and here's where you can edit the opacity. You see where it's getting lighter and lighter and darker? You can tweak it to however you want that to look. Okay, then you hit OK, and now you got that going on there. So from this point, you can continue adding your text and whatever. So what I'm going to do is just add another text box here, and instead of going back here, subtitles, dragging, making a new one, you can just right click on the text bar, copy, Now when you copy this, you can't just go here and hit paste, because then it'll screw you up and be all up in your scene, messing stuff up. You don't want to do that. So if you make a mistake like that, just go back over here, hit the little back arrow, undo. So copy, drag this over here where you don't have anything going on, then hit paste, and then you can just drag it up, go back here, and now everything's great. And it keeps the animation that you had, it keeps the font style that you had. And in order to edit your text, because you don't want them to be the same, then you can just go back here, or you can type it in here, I guess. And there we go. So you can continue to do that until you're ready to switch to another character. So let's say that you're ready to switch to another character. You can just see my cursor changing here. Drag this back. Everything automatically aligns for you. Now, I personally wouldn't recommend putting 2 characters on the screen at one time, because it takes up a lot of space and it doesn't leave enough room for your text box to go. So if you do have more than one character talking to each other in a scene, then I would you're just gonna have to flip back and forth between the 2. Okay, so now that we want to, I had to go back and add another person in here. Okay, so now we got Yoongi. So what we're gonna do is add him to the scene. Once again, click and drag. We're gonna place him on the same line as Jimin. So we don't want to add him over here, we don't want to add him over here, we want to add him right here. And now we see Jimin sings in and Yumi pops up. Okay, so same thing with Jimin. We're gonna want to fix Yoongi, position him, and we're gonna want to get him an animation. So while we have his picture selected on the panel, let's go back over here to our little weird icon, go to motion, fade, you can double click, hit OK, come back. Alright, same thing with our text box, right click, copy, make sure your red cursor is off of the panel where you have stuff listed, make sure it's over here off to the side. You can click anywhere, right click anywhere over here, paste, drag, click and drag for Yoongi. Don't forget to stretch out your character box here, see the cursor change. Okay. And don't forget to change your text, of course, after you copy and paste. But you pretty much get the picture. So that's pretty much how I do it. And if you want, of course, if you want to switch scenes, then what you'll need to do, same thing. Let's say that, oh, what am I doing here? Okay, so let's say that after Yoongi's sentence, that's the end of this scene here. So what you want to do is just align everything. And let's say we're going to go to a different place. Click and drag. Since we're changing scenes, it's not click when you click and drag it here. We're going to go on this line. All right. I don't know how long this scene is going to last, so just to be on the safe side, just going to stretch it out a little bit until I get done. And we're going to need a transition. And we're also going to need to fix this to get rid of the black bar. So, once again, going back up here to our navigation panel, going to transition, click and drag, make sure it's even between the two scenes that we're transitioning on, make sure it's even. Do a little preview. Perfect. Now we need to edit this and make sure that we get rid of these black lines. So again, once we have that selected, go back here to our little oh, actually no, not that, our crop tool. Okay, click play so the image shows up so you can see what you're working with. Pause it. All right. Don't forget to go to ratio 16:9. You see how it changes. Okay. Hit OK. And now we're good to go. Okay. Now, once again, same format. Let's say that we're back to using Jimin in our new scene. Instead of going all the way back here, and doing all this from scratch, adding him in again, having to reposition him, re-add the animation effect, all that blah blah blah. Instead of doing all that, you can just click on Jimin, right click, copy. Make sure you're out of this area. Make sure your little red thingy here is there. Right click, paste. You see him, drag him up here. And it keeps the animation for Jimin. It keeps his position where he was previously, so you basically don't have to do anything. As you can see, everything is just like you had it before. And you can either do the same thing to the text box, or you can just drag it into the scene. Whatever works for you. So now you pretty much got the formula for how you can, 1, add text, 2, add your text box and edit the opacity of the text box, 3, you know how to add your ping images, you know how to edit them, you know how to add animations, and you also know how to switch scenes and edit scenes and edit and tweak the pictures, blah 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 blah. So the last thing that we need to do, let's say you got your whole story written out. The last thing that we need to do is add some music. Now with Filmora, it actually already comes with music that you can use. I used to use this previously, but and they say that it's copyright free, but I got hit using this, so I wouldn't suggest using any of their music, even though they say it's copyright free. I don't know. So like I said earlier, you downloaded your music from YouTube. Once you have that in there, it'll show up in here. Anything that you upload from your computer is going to show up on this screen. Just kidding, I lied. So I went back and to import, and I found one of the songs that I downloaded from YouTube. It actually shows up underneath the media tab. So whatever. So now that we have your music, make sure that you're to the beginning of your video, so you're not anywhere in the middle, but you're at the beginning. Go ahead and click on that, add to project, and now you're on the music box here, or excuse me, the music portion. Actually, no, we're not, because it started me at the beginning. So you see what we got going on here? We don't want that. So I'm gonna hit undo, and this is why I like to click and drag, because you're in control of where it goes. So now that we have this on here, I'm not gonna hit play because it's gonna blow my eardrums out. If you're doing the playback and you determine that the audio is too freaking loud, then you can make sure you're one still selected on the audio. 2, you can go up here, hit that little button. You can do a fade in where it starts off slow, music starts off slow. You can do a fade out. And to control the volume, you got your little button over here on the side. So you see when I raise it, if you're looking at the song on the screen, it's going up, and when I bring it down, it's going down. When I bring it all the way down, now I don't have any audio playing at all. So test that however you want to test it. When you do your playback, see how it sounds, hit OK, and now we have music going. So let's say you finish your story, okay, alright, and you're ready to go, you're ready to render. So now what we need to do, at the top of the screen, see the export button here, you're gonna hit that. So after you hit export, you get this neat little box that pops up. Okay, so don't touch any of this. Now your resolution, if it's higher, or if it's anything below 720p, then you're gonna have a blurry, crappy quality video. So you can go to your settings, edit that. But if it's on 720p or higher, then you're good to go. You don't have to touch any of this. Now you want your video format to be MP4. That's the highest of the high, I believe. I don't know, I'm not a tech wizard, but that's the quality that I use. So you want to do that. Now there's 2 ways that you can export your video. The first way that you can export it, you can just go ahead and hit export, and then it'll save to your computer. Now this will the save to bar, this will automatically be saved to it'll say something like Wondershare Filmora. It'll have its own folder on your computer. That's one way that you can export. The second way that you can export, if you have a YouTube channel, you can sign in here, fill out all this information here, and then you can hit export. In the video, instead of saving to your computer, it will automatically save as an unpublished private video to your YouTube channel. So it'll already be ready for you to publish on YouTube and all of that. So that's the second way that you can export. Now I will be honest with you, with Filmora, depending on your internet, the export, it can take, again, depending on your internet, it can take 10 minutes or it can take 8 hours, depending on your internet speed and depending on how long your video is. So I'm gonna go ahead and export this video just so that you guys can see how it looks and then I'll come back and we can wrap this thing up. Okay, so we are back and I exported the tutorial. Now again, I know I said that while you're working on your video inside Filmora, it can be a little laggy. So, but after you render it, and after you export it, it's not gonna look like that. So I went ahead and exported it. Now let me go ahead and play it for you so you can see what I'm talking about. Everything's gonna be smooth. Features inside of Filmora. If you have any questions, I'll try my best to answer them if you leave them in the comment section below. Other than that, thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if it helped you in some way, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Or wait, not the next episode of this tutorial, because this is the end. You know what I meant, okay? I'll see you guys in the next video.